Connecting the Dots, Reliving Northwood's History with Carrie Bladorn.
The Eagle River Ice Castle is one of the most cherished winter attractions in the North Woods. When weather conditions permit its construction, thousands of visitors flock to see this iconic frozen palace during its brief lifespan of 5 to 7 weeks. More than just stacked ice blocks, the ice castle is a symbol of pride for Eagle River. Its image has been immortalized in Christmas ornaments and snow globes, cementing its place in local culture.
The history of the ice castle dates back to 1933, a time when Northwood's community sought creative ways to attract visitors during the quiet winter months. In Eagle River, the Eagle River Sports Dome was completed in 1933, intended as the cornerstone of a winter sports complex, featuring an indoor hockey rink, ski jump, and toboggan run. Coupled with an annual festival, aptly named King Winter Festival, which had been organized in previous years, it positioned Eagle River as the Lake Placid of the Midwest.
Inspired by the festival, local resident Ed Bando spearheaded the creation of Eagle River's first ice castle, built with blocks of ice harvested from Silver Lake by resort owner William Radu. The modest structure, located across from the First National Bank on the Chicago Northwestern Railroad property, welcomed visitors arriving by train for the celebration.
In 1935, a second ice castle was constructed under the leadership of Louis Below, utilizing 250 ice blocks. Around this time, F.W. Hanisch, a Chicago architect and summer resident of Eagle River, became involved. Hanisch, who also contributed to the design of the Eagle River Dome, envisioned increasingly elaborate castles. The Eagle River Fire Department became instrumental in the ice castle's construction from its earliest days, thanks in large part to Eagle River Fire Chief Charles Hankey, a former Vilas County Sheriff and operator of the C.H. Hankey Ice Company. Alongside his coal and dray business, Hankey provided the ice blocks, and the fire department helped with the builds. In the 1930s, ice harvesting was still a common practice in the Northwoods, though it was waning as mechanical refrigeration gained popularity.
Ice blocks were originally cut using a horse-drawn scribe and hand saws, with motorized saws introduced later. Despite the decline of the ice industry, the techniques were preserved through the tradition of building the ice castle. Lessons were learned over the years, with more than a couple of swamp vehicles.
World War II halted ice castle construction as local men left to serve. After the war, Charles Hankey resumed building of an ice castle in 1948, this time in his own yard. In years after, the castle was again built next to the Chicago Northwestern Depot. In the 1950s, the Eagle River Lions Club took over the project, continuing into the 1960s, until their focus shifted to the growing Eagle River Snowmobile Derby after its start in 1964. The ice castles were then organized by the Eagle River Chamber of Commerce through the 1970s. No matter its organizing body, it was always a community labor of love. In the mid-1980s, the Eagle River Fire Department officially took charge of the ice castle's construction, upon request of then Assistant Fire Chief Andrew Ludwig Jr. Charles Hankey's grandson, Jack Thomas, who followed in his grandfather's footsteps as fire chief, inherited the role of designer. Thomas was the first to incorporate the use of Lego bricks to create scale models of his designs, a method still used today.
The construction of the ice castle involves year-round planning. With Jack Thomas passing in 2019, the designs are a collaborative effort by members of the fire department, still using Lego bricks. Elements of Jack's previous designs are often melded together to form new ideas, ensuring the Thomas family legacy lives on.
As winter approaches, the fire department monitors ice conditions on Silver Lake. Ideally, the ice must be 12 to 13 inches thick to begin cutting. Day 1 begins with cutting the ice field to a depth of 10 inches, leaving a thin layer of ice to prevent water from seeping into the cuts and refreezing the blocks. The 2025 build saw the use of the old Hankey ice saw, and the addition of a new and improved ice saw which cut the time in half. The hanky saw has now been retired and displayed at the Eagle River Depot Museum courtesy of the Pollock Thomas family. Snow is packed into the cuts in a process called caulking to insulate the blocks overnight. On day 2, volunteers use traditional ice handsaws to cut the blocks free, creating a canal to float them to a conveyor, which lifts them onto waiting trucks. The conveyor is built from an old slide that once stood at Silver Lake Park, now used to slide ice blocks instead of children. The blocks are loaded onto a caravan of volunteer-owned and driven trucks and transported downtown 14 or so blocks at a time. The blocks are situated on pallets and stacked on the lot. Each block is then shaved to a uniform size using a homemade ice planer, which utilizes a series of chainsaw chains. Once the ice castle's foundation is marked, the first course of blocks is laid. Over the next several days, blocks are scored, stacked, and adhered using water. Chainsaws and laser levels ensure precision, while the Lego model serves as a guide. Over the years, radiant lights have been woven into the ice castle's frozen walls and towers, transforming it into a breathtaking artwork that glows like a beacon of magic and wonder, casting its brilliance into the cold Northwoods nights. Each ice castle requires over 700 volunteer hours to complete. Designs vary each year, with castles ranging from 10 to nearly 30 feet tall. 2,000 to 3,000 ice blocks are used, each measuring 10 inches by 12 inches by 20 inches and weighing 60 to 70 pounds. Once completed, the ice castle attracts thousands of visitors, offering a perfect photo opportunity and testament to the incredible work of countless volunteers. The castle's lifespan is fleeting. After 5 to 7 weeks of sun and changing weather conditions, it becomes unstable and is dismantled by the fire department. Its temporary nature only adds to its charm and the appreciation for the effort involved.
Since its inception in 1933, the Eagle River Ice Castle has carried forward the techniques and traditions of the Northwoods ice harvesting era. From generation to generation, volunteers have preserved this unique craft, ensuring that when nature cooperates, history comes alive in the form of the Eagle River Ice Castle. I'm Kerry Bladorn, and this is Connecting the Dots, reliving Northwoods history on Newswatch 12.
Connecting the Dots, reliving Northwoods history with Kerry Bladorn.